nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.
Anxiety, filling up every space, no privacy. And silently, it could build and build until you finally see, whoa, it's taking over, damn no closure, moving closer. No exposure, I just wanna be a loner. Some can't stay sober, looking over all their shoulders, like moving boulders just to get out of the home. It sucks, I've had enough, I don't wanna feel the stuck under the rug, all my problems that I shove.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.
Yo, everybody. Welcome to my experience with the phenomena, courtesy of the Social Dig. I am your host, Mr. Rob G. And this show, as you know, is a show about you, the experiencer. So we're going to sit back. We're going to listen to our guest tonight, Drew Banky, as he gets into talking about spirit horses and all of these sorts above. I want to let you guys know I just set up the link for you to submit information on your experience, because I would love to have you as a guest on this show. So that's going to be booksocialshow@gmail.com. Book, B is in boy, OOK, S is in Sam, OCIAL, S is in Sam, HOW @gmail.com. So that's booksocialshow@gmail.com. Go ahead and drop me a line there. Let me know who you are, and give me a brief description of the part of the phenomenon you've had an experience with, and then let's go ahead and get you booked and set up. These shows will be airing here every Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific, and we have a long line of stuff going on right here on this channel, The Social Dig. Let me go ahead and bring up our graphics here and talk a little bit about what we have going on before we jump into the show. So with that being said, we do have a call-in line, because on Saturdays, which would be tomorrow, Saturday, after we do the after-hour show over on Spaced Out Radio, we'll come right over here. So that's at 11:30 p.m. Pacific time. We'll start the live call-in show where anyone can actually call in and join the conversation. So we'll have a topic that we'll select, and then we'll go ahead and get into conversation. A lot of you already know how that show goes, and we will be talking more about that. But the number that you can contact to call in, and you can even actually jump on stage as well, but that number is 856-843-3444, or that's 856-THE-DIGG. And like I said, that number is a 24-hour line. You can call it anytime, and you can call just to say hi, right? That's a nice thing to do. You could call and leave a voicemail, brief description, anything that you might want to say on that line. We just want to try to keep away from profanity, obviously, super religious talks, politics. We try not to get into any of that as well for the live call-in show. So just be on your best behavior and come in and help move the needle as we have the conversations that keep you talking and the talk that keeps you thinking right here on the Social Dig. So getting into it. Also, yes, memberships are available. So social soldiers, become a social soldier today. Memberships have opened up here at the Social Dig. These are not required, although memberships do go to help support the show and support production of the show, because we want to make sure that we bring you the best possible quality shows here. And I'll have a lineup of what we have to expect coming on the Social Dig at the end of this show today. But I just want to let you know you can definitely become a social soldier, become a member today. The link is in the description of this and all videos going forward. Also, you can find it in the community tab. You can click the join button, and all early adopters, all early entries will take advantage of all the higher tier perks as we get this more fleshed out and developed. So even if you're a base level membership holder, whatever perks end up coming down the line for the higher tiers, we'll make sure that you guys all are included in that. Once again, memberships are not required to take part in the conversations that we have here or to view the content. All the content is absolutely free and will remain that. But if you appreciate what's going on here and you appreciate the work that's being done to get these shows put together, it's always appreciated if you would consider some sort of contribution to the show. So with that being said, we're going to jump right into our topic of the show today, which is spirit horses. Now, this was a new one for me, right? And obviously, you know, spirit horses, if you were just to look at that on the surface, you're like, okay, it may have something to do with spirituality. And the way that we do it on the show is we kind of go over information in regards to the topic that we're going to be talking about before we bring our experiencer in to talk about their story. So we'll kind of go over an educational piece of this, and then we will hear the experience from our experiencer today, which happens to be none other than our guy, Drew Banky, who is on our team over at the After Hours on Spaced Out Radio. You already know he's into some real awesome stuff, and he should be giving us some awesome accounts today from his experience with spirit horses. So with that being said, I'm just going to get into some brief stuff about the spiritual phenomena, and then a little piece on spirit horses, and then we'll hear from our experiencer. So let's go ahead and get ready to jump into this thing. So we're going to first define the spiritual phenomena. So the spiritual phenomena refers to experiences that individuals interpret as supernatural or transcendent, often perceived as interactions with a higher power, spirits, or forces beyond our physical reality. These experiences may manifest in many forms, including visions, psychic abilities, contact with the deceased, encounters with spiritual entities, and mystical or religious revelations. Unlike pure religious experiences, spiritual phenomena can be interpreted within or outside the framework of established religious beliefs, giving them universal appeal. Throughout history, spiritual phenomena has played an essential role in shaping belief systems, religious practices, and cultural traditions. Ancient civilizations frequently interpreted natural occurrences, dreams, and unusual events as communications from the divine or the spiritual world. In ancient Egypt, the gods were believed to speak through the oracles and dreams, guiding leaders and offering insight into the unknown. Similarly, the Greeks sought guidance from the Oracle of Delphi, believing that spiritual forces could influence and predict human affairs. Now, in indigenous cultures worldwide, spiritual phenomena remain integral to community life and cosmology. Shamans, healers, and spiritual leaders often serve as intermediaries between the physical and spiritual worlds, accessing hidden realms through visions, trances, and rituals. In these cultures, spiritual phenomena are not only accepted, but are considered essential for maintaining harmony between humanity and the natural world. And I have a list here of types of spiritual phenomena, and we'll kind of go over that, and we'll jump into spirit horses. So it goes like this: type of spiritual phenomenon. You got one, apparitions and ghosts. Encounters with spirits or ghosts are among the most widely reported spiritual phenomena, often occurring in specific locations or tied to significant emotional events. These experiences usually involve seeing, hearing, or sensing the presence of a deceased person. Some interpret these apparitions as spirits who have not moved on, while others see them as imprints of past energy or echoes of powerful emotions. And you got two, near-death experiences, or NDEs. NDEs occur when individuals come close to death or are clinically dead but later revived. Many who experience NDE report seeing bright lights, meeting deceased loved ones, or feeling an overwhelming sense of peace and love. These experiences often challenge the boundaries between life and death, leading many to believe in the existence of an afterlife or a spiritual realm. Then you have OBEs, or out-of-body experiences. OBEs involve a sense of leaving one's physical body and floating or traveling to another location, often with the ability to observe the physical world from a distance. These experiences may occur spontaneously or through practices such as meditation, lucid dreaming, or astral projection, and are often interpreted as evidence that consciousness can exist independently of the body. You got channeling and mediumship. Channeling refers to the act of receiving messages or energy from spiritual beings, entities, or higher consciousness. Mediums are individuals who claim to communicate with spirits, often relaying messages from the deceased to the living. This practice can take many forms, including automatic writing, trance states, or direct verbal communication. You have mystical and religious experiences. Mystical experiences involve a profound sense of unity with the universe or a direct encounter with the divine. These experiences are often characterized by feelings of awe, peace, and transcendence, with individuals reporting a loss of the self and a deep sense of interconnectedness with all existence. Religious experiences, while often framed within specific traditions, similarly involve moments of intense spiritual revelation or contact with the divine presence. Then finally, we have psychic phenomena and intuition. Many people report having heightened intuition, premonitions, or psychic abilities that allow them to perceive information beyond the limits of physical senses. This can include telepathy, clairvoyance, and precognition. While often debated, these experiences suggest that human consciousness may be capable of tapping into hidden dimensions of reality, right? So this is kind of just to set us up for the what we're going to hear about the experience of spirit horses. For some, this may be the first time, just like me, on even knowing what this part of the phenomenon is. So it'll be interesting to hear from Drew Banke this evening. But let me get into a piece about spirit horses before we actually bring them in. We have spirit horses throughout history. Animals have held a significant place in the mythologies, spiritual beliefs, and folklore of various cultures. Among them, horses stand out as powerful symbols of freedom, strength, and transcendence. The notion of spirit horses embodies these qualities, transcending their physical presence to represent deeper spiritual meanings. Spirit horses is found in numerous indigenous, mystical, and religious traditions, symbolize the connection between the earthly and the divine, the seen and the unseen, and the material and spiritual worlds. In many cultures, horses are viewed as creatures with deep spiritual significance. The Celts, for instance, believed that Epona, the goddess of horses, fertility, and protection, who was often depicted with horses by her side. In Norse mythology, the eight-legged horse Sleipnir belonged to Odin, was seen as a symbol of speed, power, and the ability to travel between worlds. Native American tribes, particularly those from the Great Plains, revered horses not only for their practical value, but also for their symbolic representation of spiritual power, freedom, and the connection to the spiritual world. Spirit horses then are more than just mythical creatures. They embody these qualities and are often seen as guides or companions for human beings in their spiritual journeys. In dreams and visions, they might appear as messengers, guiding individuals towards enlightenment or reminding them of their innate strength and freedom. For many Native American tribes, the horse was a sacred animal. After horses were introduced to the Americas by Spanish explorers in the 16th century, they quickly became integral to the lives of many tribes, particularly those in the plains. The horse became a symbol of power, freedom, and connection to the natural and spiritual world. The concept of the spirit horse holds deep significance in Native American spiritual practices. Many tribes believe that horses were gifts from the Great Spirit meant to help humans on their earthly journeys. In vision quests or spiritual rituals, spirit horses might appear to guide individuals through toward their destiny or offer protection. These spiritual horses are often seen as companions on the journey to the afterlife, guiding the souls of the deceased to their final resting place. For the Lakota Sioux, for example, the horse was a sacred being connected to the spirit world. They believed that when a horse died, its spirit lived on and could become a protector or guide in the spirit realm. Horses also played a significant role in many rituals, such as the sun dance, where participants sought visions and spiritual guidance. In the realm of dreams and personal symbolism, spirit horses often represent themes of freedom, power, and personal transformation. Dreaming of a horse can suggest that the dreamer is seeking a deeper connection with their true self, a desire for greater freedom in life, or even the need to overcome obstacles through strength and determination. In many spiritual traditions, the horse is seen as a vehicle for shamanic journeys, representing the ability to transcend the limitations of the physical world and travel to spiritual realms. The act of riding a spirit horse in a dream or vision may symbolize a journey of personal growth or transformation, with the horse acting as a guide to higher understanding. The color of the horse in dreams and visions can also carry important symbolic meaning. A white horse, for example, is often associated with purity, spiritual enlightenment, and divine guidance. Black horses might represent the unknown, mystery, or a journey through difficult or shadowy aspects of life. Red horses could symbolize passion, energy, or intense personal challenges. In each case, the spirit horse acts as a metaphor for the inner journey and the evolving relationship between the self and the spiritual world. In shamanic traditions, spirit animals, including horses, are believed to be spiritual allies who assist humans in navigating the complex realms of the physical and spiritual. A shaman might invoke the presence of a spirit horse during rituals, asking for guidance, protection, or the ability to travel between different realms. In these practices, the spirit horse is often seen as a vehicle for the soul, capable of carrying the shaman on journeys through time, space, and even dimensions. This might involve traveling to the underworld or the upper world, where the shaman seeks knowledge, healing, or insight on behalf of their community. The horse's speed, strength, and ability to move between realms makes it a powerful ally in these spiritual quests. Shamans also believe that the horse spirit can help individuals find balance in their lives, offering guidance on how to integrate the physical and spiritual aspects of existence. Through rituals, meditations, or dream work, individuals may connect with their spirit horse to gain insight into their personal path and overcome challenges. The spirit horse is a powerful symbol that resonates deeply across cultures and spiritual traditions. Whether appearing in mythology, dreams, or shamanic journeys, the spirit horse embodies qualities of strength, freedom, and transcendence. It represents the connection between the physical and spiritual worlds, serving as a guide for those on a journey of personal growth, enlightenment, or transformation. Wow, that is so deep and it makes a lot of sense. And that's kind of the gist that I would have gotten from, just thinking about what the definition of a spirit horse would be. And there are a lot of things out there, and we'll actually talk about this with our guest for tonight. But it's actually pretty powerful. And once you look into spirit horses, you're going to be blown away, right? Because this is something that's practiced within the indigenous cultures, and just the symbolism for what it means is just very powerful, and it can be applied to anyone's life. And I'm sure we'll get some of that here from our guest tonight as we go ahead and bring in our experiencer tonight on my experience with the phenomena, and that is none other than Mr. Drew Banky. Hey, Drew, how are you, sir?
How's it going?
Doing good, doing good. Just kind of went over, just the whole spirituality aspect with the audience here, and then also just to kind of peek into spirit horses. Now, from what you heard, does that align with your understanding of spirit horses? And then if not, I'm sure you'll educate us here today.
Oh yeah, I mean, man, I check all those boxes. I've had experiences in ceremony. I've seen apparitions of a horse, and it come to find out there was an incident in that area. So it's like you're just like always, dude. It's like you just read my mind, and I was listening to everything from the beginning of the show up until now, and yeah, it's just like always. Feels like you read my mind. It feels like we're on the same page, and yeah, the experience I had our share in just a few moments was in a particular spot, and yeah, when I started sharing it with people around the area, it, it there was a history of an accident in that area. So there was a traumatic event in that area. The Sundance, I haven't never experienced actual horses being used in Sundance, but in sub tribes and some Sundances, they use horses to actually hoist people in the air from their piercings. They'll be pierced either 2 points or 4 points, like a point in the 2 points in the chest and 2 points in the back, and the rope will be put over a tree, and then the horse it'll be hooked to a horse, and the horse will walk away and hoist the Sundancer up in the air. That's one of the ways horses are used actually in the ceremony itself. Yeah, the Lakota translation, the Lakota word for horse is Sukowakan, which means sacred dog. So their translation of it doesn't even horses, is not even part really of that. It's they look at them as sacred dogs. And one thing I was thinking about, it'd be important to mention before we start getting into the stories, is on like Avatar, where the the character or the avatar gets on the back of an animal, whether it be the flying animal or the horse or the water animal, but they connect one of their braids of their dreads basically into the a piece of that horse, from the Avatar movie. And that could be, that's why I have horses now, and it's been deeply influence how I raise how I operate and how I treat my horses, and everything is deeply affected by my experiences with horses. So we're getting started off with a story, and I think I sent you some links. This is the story of Skippy. It's a famous story, and as everybody knows, I like to promote my valley and my area because I think it's needs to be put out there. So on September 7th, 1967, near the town of Alamosa, which is about 25 minutes to my west, in the San Luis Valley, Snippy, or some known it as Lady, a 3-year-old Appaloosa mare, failed to return to the Harry King Ranch. I mentioned the King Ranch before on Spaced Out Radio, and this is another thing that keeps popping up when I start doing these research into things in my area. The King Ranch. So the King Ranch is actually closer to me than it is to Alamosa. Anyways, so the mare left the King Ranch, went grazing and everything, and was supposed to come back to the stable with the rest of the herd. She didn't return. 2 days later, just 2 days later, Mr. King, the owner, the ranch owner, discovered Snippy's remains roughly 1/4 mile from the ranch house. According to his account, the neck and head had been completely stripped of flesh, leaving nothing but bare, seemingly sun-bleached white bone, while the remainder of the mare remained unscathed. King returned the next day, accompanied by the horse's owner, determined to unravel the mystery surrounding Snippy's untimely death, but more questions than answers arose. There was no blood found on or around the body. The flesh appeared to be removed neatly and with precision. A number of darkened patches, said to be witnessed to look like scorch or exhaust marks, were found in the vicinity of the carcass, roughly 100 yards away. They discovered a shrub, which was smashed nearly flat, and nearby was a series of 6 small, round indentations in the ground arranged in a circle formation. There were some other elements to the initial reports as well. At one point, the exposed bones allegedly appeared to be bright pink. One person reported that their palm became incredibly itchy after handling some of the fur or a piece of the metal or a piece of hide. Reports varied. A sticky, sweet smell hung in the air around the body. One thing of all these claims have in common is they were all transitory events that there's no way to investigate either whether they happen, let alone their cause. During these unusual circumstances and occasional rumors of unexplained lights in the sky in the region, though none specifically correlate to this incident, the amateur sleuths conclude that Snippy's death, or others known as Lady, death could be attributed to aliens naturally. But when you have a number of unexplained mysteries, the best course is to assume a conclusion. The old tale form, the Tempest, and this is the famous case that put Linda Moulton Howe on the map. So the case of Snippy, and this is, in my valley, and one of, I don't know how many cases of just crazy events that's happened in this valley.
Wow.
so not to mention, so this brings us into, um, and I didn't really think about this until I was getting ready. I was doing research to get ready to do this show with you. You called me up a couple days ago, and you're like, "Hey, man, you know," you messaged me. He's like, "Hey, you got any story about spirit story?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, I got I got stories about
Yeah.
spirit stories," you know. And so this is back maybe 2018, 2017 ish. I don't know. I don't know the exact date, but me and Ella, this is for the babies. It was just me, Ella, and I think our dog. We were riding back from the airport, and this is when I lived in Crestone. So late night, it was, you know, it was like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning by the time I was getting down the within about 20 minutes of being home. And the road that goes down to Crestone, it's called T Road, and it has a bunch of really sharp turns, like 90-degree turns to the left, and again back to the right. And there's been a few wrecks in this certain area where you have to turn left, and then within a few hundred feet you have to turn right again. So if you're not paying attention, there's no lights out there because you're out in the middle of the desert.
Mhm.
So we're riding back down, and we're right in this area, and I'm getting ready to approach this intersection area, and all of a sudden animals in the road. And then there's two. There's like one and two, but they're like really really big. So my thoughts are at first are like, oh, it's a moose. I've never even seen a moose in person, but it's bigger than any other animal that I've ever seen before.
Mhm.
And as I get coming up to it, they both turn, and I like drive through them. I realize like they're not. It's like a ghost, you know. It's like it looks like a cloud kind of, but there are two. You can see all four legs. You know, you can see their hair blowing. They're almost completely formed, but I drive through them, and it's just like a whoosh of smoke that goes by as I drive through them. And you know, my heart goes 90. It goes 90 miles a minute. You know, everyone's asleep in the car. Ella's asleep in the car. You know, the dog's sleeping. I had a dog back then. It was like a pit bull. He's sleeping in the back, and he's just snoring. And and I can't believe it just happened. So I'm just driving, and uh, I wake her up, like, you know. I was like, baby, I was like, I feel like I just drove through like two like spirit horses, you know, and or ghosts of horses or something like that. So basically, that's the end of it. You know, that part of it. A couple days later, I'm up in town in Crestone, and this is when we back lived in Crestone. So we go up to the coffee shop all the time, and you know, if you never, if you're ever interested in a spiritual conversation, go to the coffee shop any day of the week in the morning in Crestone, order a cup of coffee and sit down, and within 15 minutes, you're going to be talking about some of the crazy shit you've ever heard in your life, you know? And so I go up there and I sit down, and so I start having this conversation. I'm like, man, the weirdest thing happened on T Road the other night. I feel like I ran through these these horses. I felt like two horses. And man, one person pipes up like across table. One person pipes up like from behind the counter, and they're like, "Are you talking down like where the intersection's at? Where the two back and forths are?" Yeah, you know, because it's literally like, you know, it's back and forth, and everybody knows about the intersection because there's been a lot of people that go off road, especially in wintertime when there's snow on the ground, stuff like that. But that's a nasty intersection. They're like, but that intersection has been there even when it was back in a dirt road, back in
Mm.
the mining days. And there was a group of children going to local schools. So Crestone used to be a big mine, a gold mine town, and it was functional in the transition of motor vehicles becoming part of the economy and everything. So there'd be a lot of traffic going back and forth of horse-drawn carriages and stuff like that. Kids going to school on horse-drawn carriages and motor vehicles. So there was a nasty accident there involving two horses that was pulling a carriage full of kids that were going back and forth from a local school and a motor vehicle, and all the kids died and the horses died. The horses were so wounded, and they were put down on the spot. So they said those horses have occupied that intersection for the past couple hundred years, and there's, a ton of everyone that's from around that area. And it seems, to go even further, it seems like the experiencing those horses in the intersection is one of the signs that you're allowed to be in this area, because this area is like, if anyone knows Crestone, if you're not supposed to be there, it will spit you out. If you're supposed to be there, it'll make a way for you to be there. Like this valley, like this whole valley is the same type of way. It's very distinct, and you can tell there's some type of force behind it. So, yeah, so that made it all real. There was a lot of confirmations and stuff that made that real. But after doing this research and finding out the story of Skippy, which was only within 25 minutes of this location, the story of Skippy happened. So I don't know. There's a lot of stories of spirit horses in this vicinity, and that's what comes up as far as this area. So and then when you're doing the pregame, you're talking about visionary states. So when I was given the altar for San Pedro Huachuma from Ronaldo Guerrero from Chile. He travels the world. He does ceremonies all over the world. He's my teacher now. He's not my teacher anymore. He's just like my friend and medicine partner. We realized we've had done this in several different lifetimes. We both had experiences where we've done this in different lifetimes. But taking us back to, gosh, what was it? 2019 or so, 2019 or 2000, it had to be 2000 before 2020. So it's probably 2019. I got the altar for San Pedro, and I met Renato in Southern Colorado. Me and Ella, we met Renato down there, and we helped him conduct a daytime ceremony. And in that ceremony, I got the right to serve. I got the right to finally serve the medicine. So I was given a feather, and it's a whole long story behind it. But so we're hiking back and forth, and we're drinking the medicine we made. We harvested medicine from that was in a private garden there in Southern Colorado that grows outside. It can grow down there like perfectly. It has perfect climate. And but there was a big piece. We harvested it, and then we made the medicine from it. Next day, we hiked, and we had like 5 or 6 people that was with us, but it was my initiation ceremony as well. So during the hike, Renato's like, get ready, because you're about to be fully initiated, so you can serve this medicine yourself. So during it, we at one moment he sat down, he started singing a song. He set a feather down beside him, and as he was singing the song, the feather like lifted up out of the air, and it flew and it landed in my hands. Wow. And he just smiled and looked at me. And the ground, everything started to shake. The medicine really kicked in, or whatever you want to call it. Like, there was a lot of realizations of magic that were coming over me in that moment. And I had to get up and purge. So I went up, and this is my first time ever like throwing up or purging on San Pedro. And so when I went over to this bush, was holding on to the side of it, and this is like down in the desert. It's by like Palm Springs area, it's in Palm Springs area. It's super hot out and everything. And I start purging, and it's coming out, and it's hitting the ground, and it looks like neon green to me. And I start crying, like, because I just realized everything that's happening, it's all hitting me. I start crying. And my vision just went black. And then all of a sudden I hear like galloping of hooves, like a lot of them. And I like blinked my eyes a few times, and I'm a horse. Like I'm in a horse body, you know, and I'm looking out through the eyes, and I'm in this big like herd. I'm in like 100 or a couple thousand, whatever. It's just a big, huge herd, and we're running through this valley and in the I don't know, it must have been way back, when these big herds were able to roam like this, and we're running through this valley, and there's a cliff like on the right side, and I can hear like thought like chain, best way I could describe it, like a chain or like come from each person, each horse that was running in this herd that was close to the edge was relaying messages back, and it was coming back, and it was hitting me, and I was relaying it back through the rest of the herd. So I know like I was one horse, but I could feel like we were one, because we all like moved to the side, like the whole herd like veered to the left like automatically, because we all heard it telepathically.
Wow.
And I come out of that, and I was just like, I was weeping, because it was just such a beautiful moment. And that moment has deeply shaped how I interact with my horses now, because I know like the message that I got was not like I'm a horse. Like maybe in one part of my existence I was a horse or something like that, my spirit or whatever. But what is telling me is showing me the telepathic connection of horses that has become real apparent to me after working with them, and owning them, and even Ruby the mule, she's still an equine, and I have uh, a really deep telepathic connection to her. I know when I'm saddling her, I know she just does certain things. I can tell when something's not right, and it's not really a sense of hearing voices, but it's more just like connecting, and it's not
Yeah.
like, so hearing voices is kind of like, okay, I'm hearing a separate entity. It's when you get within a horse's aura, or even a human aura, like me and you, like if we're within three, arms reach of each other and step within that boundary of each other, where our auras are interlocking and intertwining.
Yep.
And the same thing happens with horses. And anyone that's ever rode or owned them, or had extended experience with horses will tell you the same thing. It's not a huge secret, but it ties right into this. And this is why, we talk about spirit horses, and when a high consciousness animal like that, or being, let's not even call it an animal, a high conscious sentient being that a horse is, when it passes, you think that the energy is not staying right there, and continue on. I fully believe it.
Yeah, I'm gonna read this too, because it's your account kind of also brings it home, because just on the surface of this, I was like, okay, I need to dive into this, because just for someone who has never heard of a spirit horse before, and just thinking about the concept of a spirit horse, you may not go as deep as what just happened here, right? So you may look at it, okay, a horse that has passed on, and maybe occasionally you see the apparition of a horse, and yeah, okay, maybe it means something. But once you go deep and you figure out what this is supposed to, and I'll read this piece again just to kind of bring it home. For the Lakota Sioux, and I'm sure this is the same for a lot of other tribes, but it says for the Lakota Sioux, for example, the horse was a sacred being connected to the spirit world. They believed that when the horse died, its spirit lived on and could become a protector or guide in the spirit realm. Horses also played a significant role in many rituals, such as Sundance, where the participants sought visions and spiritual guidance. And when you talked about the accident that happened, that horrific accident at the intersection in Crestone, it just, it makes sense then why those apparitions would still remain there, right? If they would be there to kind of maybe guide through the safety, future safety of the living when it comes to that intersection. Because like you said, in the winter, it's a deadly place to be. There's always accidents that happen there. And for those spirit horses to remain at that site, it really makes sense when you hear what their actual purpose is, right? So I would want to know from you, because I read part on here where they stated that certain color horses could have different meaning. Have you experienced that, or do you know? Do you have any insight into what that could be?
Yeah. So yes, I do. I have not. So it's a two-part answer. No, I haven't had experience with different color horses. I've had experience with horses in dreams. My own horses have entered my dreams. Atlas has entered my dreams. Ruby has been in my dreams. Things like that. And I've only had Ruby for a couple months.
Okay,
But
hold on. As you answer this, at the end of this, tell me how tell everyone how what you felt, or what you thought the purpose was for having those particular encounters. Like, was there a message behind it? If you could elaborate as you tell the story.
the experience with my own horses.
Yeah.
I believe it's just connection, and there was a time I shared. This is pretty personal. So I had a dog, and the last dog that I owned, um, Ruby's hollering. She loves to get in every interview I ever do. Like she always says something. But anyways, the last dog I ever owned, it walked away, and I don't know if it got taken by coyotes or anything. That just never seen it again, and so I never got a dog after that, but couple days after that happened, when I realized that that dog wasn't coming back, I just broke down and I went outside. And at that time, it was just Atlas here. Like there was no other. I didn't have any other animals. It was just Atlas. He was the first. And I went outside and I just broke down like in front of me. Like it was only Ella was gone. She was visiting family or something at the time. So it was just me and Atlas here. So it was like the only other being on the property. So I just the only like I had to be around somebody. So I went outside, and Atlas nearly he pushed and was trying to break down the fence to get to me. And because I was like broke down crying on the ground, like right in front of him. And he's never done, it's not, he's not that type of horse, to do something like that. He's pretty well behaved. And he was, it was a crazy incident. But what was the other part of your question about the
Yeah, just seeing
oh
basically
the color. So
color. Yeah.
the colors, um, the colors for like most tribes are white, red, yellow, and black, and those also signify, depending on which tribe, those also signify a particular direction. So normally white is always north, black is normally in the south. So white is the north and signifies source, or like the pure creation. The black in the south signifies like death and the underworld or the afterlife. And the east is normally yellow, signifying new beginnings. And the west is normally like for ancestors. So it signifies blood, like your ancestors and blood. So different colors of horses could be fall under that. I know a lot of prophecies describe different horses of different colors coming at different times, but they also describe like a prophecy that I'm aware of in the Ojibwe is of the Thunderbird, and it's described as different colors. The colors are slightly different in that fact, but normally it signifies a direction. So the color of the horse normally signifies a direction, and that's sometimes that's what people need is to figure out like what direction, I guess, and that's the overall message of it.
Well, that's awesome.
In my opinion.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's like I said, that's what the show is for. Like, I don't know how many people, even when you think of the phenomenon, you think of just on the surface of it, you think of the extraterrestrials, just the normal things, the Bigfoots, the cryptids. But when it gets into spirituality, just like symbols like spirit horses, and I'm sure there's other symbols, and I know within indigenous culture, Native American tribes, that there are other animals that are, looked at as symbols as well. So, did you
Look,
have?
I take
Yeah,
the audience. I take the audience up in my. So up above me, right there, that's a buffalo skull. And if you people want to zoom in and look at that,
let me do
that
that.
was given to me in Sundance.
So while we're on that, what is the symbolism of the buffalo, if you would mind?
So buffalo is part of my totem. And so a totem is a mixture of a conglomeration of energies or spirits, whatever you want to call it. Like I think of it more on the energetic level other than the spirit level, because I think it's past. I think the spirit level kind of holds it back from what it really is. I think energetic level is more closer to what it actually is. But a totem is a mixture of energies that make up a being. And as far as like a Native American totem, so the top of my Native American totem is the golden eagle, and so it's the biggest part, the top of my totem. So there's normally like seven, and they say it's humans are the Native Americans. They talk about it. A lot of tribes, and I don't mean to speak for any tribes or anything like that. I'm just speaking on my own personal experiences with it. That seven different animals make up a human body, or seven different, and sometimes there's star beings in your totem too. Like that's not unheard of either. But it's commonly known that animal spirits make up someone's totem, and so golden eagle is part of my totem. The black-tailed deer is part of my totem because I've had some, and the way you can find out about it, either these animals come to you in your dreams, or you have profound experiences with this animal, whether in the physical or in ceremonial space or something like that. So the buffalo is definitely part of my totem as well. Black-tailed deer is part of my totem. The golden eagle is part of my totem. The bear is part of my totem. The black bear is part of my totem. And there's other things in it too, as well as the thunderbird. So the thunderbird, mystical or cryptid being is part of my totem as well. And just because I've had experiences with lightning hitting close to me and stuff like that when I was around native elders. So that's a whole nother story and a whole nother, index on the encyclopedia. But that's, the horse represents a lot of freedom, intuition. A horse is known for its intuition just as much as like a dolphin is, and they're very tied to consciousness. And if you're ever around them for extended amount of time, you can definitely understand how. And riding them, like riding a horse, you definitely understand like what a telepathic communication feels like in the physical. But if there's any questions, now would be a great time.
Yeah, as we're getting ready to wrap this up pretty soon, if you guys have any questions or any experiences that you may have had with some sort of spirit horse or spirit animal in general, because like I said, I'm pretty sure there are meanings for other animals as well. So if you guys have had any experience with that, definitely let us know so we can go ahead and do that. And as we wait for that, I do want to, because we didn't get to do this at the beginning of the show, so I do want to say hey to Magneticus. I want to say hey to UFO Tim James is in the building. Appreciate you. We got Sarah Yan that stepped in here. Maggie M10, thanks for showing up here tonight. Jessica S, thanks for coming in. Bob Marley, appreciate you showing up. Going back through the list, and Thirsty, thanks for coming in. Paul Demont, for sure, thanks for coming in. Who am I? Thanks for coming in. Appreciate you. Eternity Eternal, thank you for coming in to hear Drew speak about this experience today. Mike Bothwell, thanks for showing up. Welcome to the show. We do appreciate you, and welcome to the show. So appreciate it. So Bob Marley does state, my kid's grandmother's from Honduras and Nicaragua. They hunted lizard and we hunt rabbits. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know there's definitely spiritual, meanings behind some of those animals too, right? Do you have any insight on the rabbits, right? Because I think rabbits are a symbol as well, right?
Yeah, well,
Or lizards too.
rabbits are known as a symbol of fertility. You know, everything's very literal. Like anything that you would like, kind of jokingly think about, like what an animal would, you know, the snake. Like if you see a snake, and some tribes, like they're seen as symbols of the afterlife because they shed their skin. Some tribes and some places they're seen as very closely connected to the earth because they stay their whole bodies. They basically spend their whole life and their whole body like laid across the earth the whole time. So they're seen in a totally different light. But there's a lot of similarities, especially in regions. Native American beliefs in North America, and their they most of their beliefs around main spirit animals are generally the same, like the buffalo, horse, eagle, things like that. They're all the same. The eagle is definitely connected to source, or there's, or if you have experiences with eagles, stuff like that, or that's a good sign that you have a higher purpose of like serving the people in a much higher capacity and stuff like that. But yeah, I love hearing people's stories, so I would definitely be tuning in the future to hear people's story. I would love to hear a whole like series of people's experiences with animals and how they interpret that experience.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And we've had this is we're on our third show here for my experience with the phenomena. So I appreciate you coming in and being one of the first few there, Drew, for sure. But we've also had one of our viewers here, Aloha Dave, who was on episode 2, and he came in and spoke about his experience with premonitions and deja vu. And first episode, I did my experience with phenomena, which everyone knows by now, with orbs and all sorts of weird things like that. So, like I said, this show is designed for you, the viewer, to come on and talk about your experience with phenomena, whatever it may be. Like I said, just as far as spirits and animals go, on the surface of it, you hear people talk about, usually when you hear spirits related to phenomena, you hear about people's past pets that have passed away, and then just that personal connection that the person had with their pet, and the messaging that person believes the pet is trying to convey, which is usually some personal sort of conversation, not really like an outlook on guiding through life, right? So that goes deeper when you put the indigenous and Native American outlook on it. And that's why I always love to include that, or at least take whatever part of the phenomena we're looking at and then kind of apply it to what the natives would say or what they would think about this explanation of phenomena, because usually you'll find that it goes much deeper in their eyes, and I always feel like we need to lean on them to kind of fully understand what it is that we're dealing with. So on the surface level, like I said, you see your pet passed on, you're just like, hey, my pet came back to see me. He misses me in the afterworld. He's waiting for me to come to the afterworld so we can be together. And that's like the general idea. But if you were to go talk to a native, that native may give you further insight on what that really means. Like maybe your pet has come on behalf of some purpose and is really there to actually guide you to do something that you're not even considering in that moment. So that's where I think it gets really, really powerful. So with that being said, Drew, I do appreciate you coming in, sharing your experience with the phenomena this evening. This is like just an hour show. And I have some things actually that I want to go ahead and show as well. Because like I said, we want you guys to come. I put the email address out there, which is booksocialshow@gmail.com. So anyone that's out there that says, hey, you know what? I want to come up and talk about my experience with the phenomena, send me an email so we can talk about what part you have experienced, and then we can go ahead and set up a show behind it. These will air every Friday. So every Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific, you'll find this show. And I actually have a little list here that we can go through. So yes, as it stands, let me bring this up on the screen. So we have on this channel, on the Social Dig channel, We have the Social Dig show, which you just saw on Wednesday. Those will be Wednesdays at 5 p.m. You see what kind of format we have for that show. This show that you're at now, which is my experience with the phenomena, this show will air on Fridays at 5 p.m. Pacific. And then we have a late night call-in show. So actually tomorrow night, right after we finish up over at the after hours, about 30 minutes later, you come right back over here to this channel and we have a call-in show, right? I open up the phone lines and you guys can come on in and jump in on whatever conversation we're having. Some of you will come up on stage as you've done in the past. We've actually had some people show their faces for the first time on the late night show. We just asked to keep it respectable. We've had a few trolls and we're trying to figure out the best way to kind of control that, but trying to bring you a lot of value here on this channel. More than just a show, we're trying to give you an experience overall and, a channel hopefully that helps move the needle along with what we're doing over there at Spaced Out Radio. So definitely want to make sure that everyone gets involved with this. Also, definitely want to talk about our memberships because, yes, we have actually hit over 500 subs here, which to some is nothing, but to me is huge because we actually have over 500 people who have a mindset of advancing humanity. And if we were all sitting in a room, that would be a crazy amount of people that are wanting to and trying to move the needle. So we do have memberships available and open. You don't have to do one, but we would appreciate any support that you guys would have. You could just become a social soldier today. We have like 3 little tiers that you can look at. And like I said, it really just goes show, hey, I appreciate the show, appreciate what you guys are trying to do here. And the message is trying to be, laid down because we want to make sure that we're putting on top quality content. We want to hire editors. We want to be able to actually produce really awesome top level stuff. So along with the shows that I showed you, the 3 shows, there will be pre-recorded stuff that I'll be running through an editor, and we'll be having little things come out during the week too. So this is going to be a place where you can come and find a whole lot of content coming out. So we'd appreciate you coming on in. And we do have a member, Maggie M10 has just joined the club, and we do appreciate, we want to give her a round of applause here. Maggie M10.
Oh yeah, that's
so
what it's all about.
That is awesome and appreciated. The members will show up on the front page of the channel, so your avatar and everything should be showing up there pretty soon on the front of the channel. And like I said, it just is a step to help make this thing as great as it could be. Maggie M10, she's been here for over a year, almost since the beginning of this channel. We have Magnetic who's a day one guy. He actually, when we had one person in the audience, Magnetic was that one guy in the audience. And these people have been around since the beginning. And like I said, it's just we like-minded people that want this thing to move. Our grandchildren are going to appreciate it at the end of the day when they see what it is that we got together and tried to do. So I appreciate you once again, Maggie. Thanks for becoming a member. And let's see. Monica, hi, Robert G. Live to see what other opportunities you have. Actually, you don't live very far from your hometown. Yeah, actually, we can get into some good stuff, Monica. Like I said, I'm trying to build a team too, because what I want to do, and I've talked to people in the audience about this, is I want to do a show or at least content where we go on the road and kind of go to historical places that have to do with the things that we look at here. So, we put together a list of places that we can go, and we go. If you're in the area, definitely come along for the ride. Let's go, Monica. Maybe you can hold the camera while I'm out there trying to speak and talk about some stuff. That would be appreciated. So anywhere where you guys can fit in, I want to fit you in as we go ahead and try to build this thing up into hopefully the place to be, the place to go. And Maggie M10, you're out there in Australia. So when we come to Australia, then you can go ahead and show us what we need to do out there, because I really would love to go to Pine Gap. That would be awesome. I've heard so many things about that. So with that being said, just once again, want to thank Maggie for becoming a member today, guys. And like I said, I'll give you what I can, right? Outside of the shows and the effort that we put into putting these shows on, I'm trying to think of a lot of things that would be of value to you guys, and I want to make sure that we do that. But I also don't want to make it seem like a member is gonna, I don't want to make there be a difference between a member and a non-member, right? Because I still want to give everyone the same content, because there should be no paywalls when it comes to enlightenment. But becoming a member just actually helps you essentially produce the show. So do appreciate you guys doing that. And what else do we have here? Yes, why we do this. This is very important. We do this, what we do here, putting on all these shows and coming live. We do this for the positive progression of humanity, because everybody matters out there. It doesn't matter what race you are. It doesn't matter what country you're from or what religious belief you have. None of that matters at the end of the day. We're all humanity. We're going to need each other definitely soon when it comes to figuring out where we go on this path, progressing humanity. These ETs are up there. We know that. We know there's a day where we're going to have to interface with these guys, and we're going to have to sit down at the table and figure out what we're going to do next. And that's kind of what we're doing here, is trying to figure all that out. So with that being said, I do want to thank everybody who's come tonight, Drew Banky. And for anybody else that consider becoming a member, you can find the link in the description of all the videos that we put out. Outside of that, appreciate you, Drew. Thanks for coming in. Thank you for everybody showing up. This is my experience with the phenomena. I'll see you guys at the after hours tomorrow. And then right after that, I'll see you right back here for the live call-in show. Hopefully you guys come on stage and we'll see what's going on. Outside of that, you guys take care. Talk to you soon.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.
Anxiety, filling up every space, no privacy. And silently, it could build and build until you finally see. Whoa, it's taking over, damn no closure, moving closer. No exposure, I just wanna be a loner. Some can't stay sober, looking over all their shoulders, like moving boulders just to get out of the home. It sucks, I've had enough, I don't wanna feel the stuck under the rug, all my problems that I shove.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.